The Black Industrialists and Exporters Conference got underway this morning in Sandton. The conference has attracted more than 1,000 delegates and exhibitors alike. It takes place under the theme Black Industrialists Catalysing Economic Growth and Jobs. Let's take you live there to Sandton.
And truly delighted to have this opportunity to join you at this, what I would call the showcase of Black Industrial Excellence. The second Black Industrialists and Exporters Conference. When we started, as Minister Patel was saying, there were a number of naysayers and there was a lot of criticism about this initiative, and some were calling it an elitist type of initiative, and some said it was doomed to fail, arguing that many of the initiatives that we had embarked upon as government had not really succeeded and achieved the objectives that we had set out. And so there was a lot of pessimism, and Minister has spoken to that. I am particularly pleased to be here because this showcasing actually tells a real wonderful story of how far we have traveled as South Africa, the journey that we have traversed. To have so many of you here in this hall, and many of you participating in real business, and many of you being Black industrialists, to me speaks of the success that we have achieved. And I'm really proud of you all being here, and also am pleased that I could have this opportunity. So thank you very much for being here, and also for allowing me to be part of this moment. Thank you very much. Now, this conference coincides with the 20th anniversary of the enactment of the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act. And let us be clear, the lead up to the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act was actually initiated by black business. When I left government to go into business after the drafting of the Constitution, they asked a number of us to help define what Black Economic Empowerment was, and they set up the Black Economic Empowerment Commission, which came out with a report which gave a definition of what BEE was, which in the end spawned the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act, which has really been the spirit, the leading spirit behind the number of initiatives that we have embarked upon. This conference also takes place as we approach the 30th anniversary of our democracy. A very important moment for the journey that we as South Africans have traversed to get where we are. This important moment may not really be so prominent in our minds because we have not yet reached the 27th of April, but it is the 30th anniversary when we as South Africans should truly celebrate, but also look back at what we have achieved and what we haven't succeeded in achieving. It is therefore a good moment to reflect on our empowerment journey, which is a central part of the changes that have taken place in our country over the last 3 decades. We have about 1,000 black industrialists present here today. This was unheard of in the past. This is a living testimony to the changes that have taken place in the past 30 years, and indeed over the past 5 years as well. The previous regime never wanted this to take place. They crafted laws that prevented you from being here. They enacted laws that marginalized all of you completely. But today you are here because this ANC-led government has led the charge to enable this moment to take place. For us, and this is not electioneering, please. You know, Andile is a really bad program director because he invokes a number of issues, some of which are political. This is not political, this is reality. We are dealing with the reality of our past, our present, and I'll talk a little bit about our future as well. So for us, empowerment is an historical imperative to provide redress to black South Africans who were, as I was saying, discriminated against and deliberately excluded from participating meaningfully in the economy of their own country under apartheid. Even after the advent of democracy and the removal of the discriminatory laws, the racial features of privilege and disadvantage still remain. We still have to deal with them. And one needs to understand that even as on the 27th of April 1994, we achieved our freedom and democracy, it was just a beachhead moment. It was a breakthrough. Much more work still needed and still needs to be done to complete the moment of our freedom. Unlike many other white compatriots, most black people did not have access to the capital accumulated in families or the networks that were acquired either at school, universities, or clubs that they had, be they golf courses or social clubs. Black people did not have that. And in fact, what they had was poverty. They inherited poverty, and it was generational poverty that was spread around, which never yielded or brought forward any assets that black people could rely on. So the inequality went deeper. Underdevelopment in the places where the majority of our people lived, in townships, in so-called Bantustans, limited access to economic opportunities. And to make it worse, the other process that our oppressors indulged in was to blunt our capability through Bantu education, which left several generations without the skills that were needed to improve their economic situation. Much has changed, though, in our country, but this iniquitous inheritance continues to diminish the economic prospects of many South African black men and women. It is this inheritance that we are determined to overcome, and that has become a singular objective that this government has. In this, we are guided by the Bill of Rights that is contained in our Constitution, which dictates that equality includes the full and equal enjoyment of all rights and freedoms. To promote the achievement of equality, legislative and other measures designed to protect and to advance persons or categories of persons that were disadvantaged by unfair discrimination may have taken. Let us now take a moment to reflect on the historical journey of the Black Industrialist program in our country. For far too long, our country's economic landscape was marked by inequality, as we all know, exclusion, deliberate exclusion, which was underpinned by laws, protocols, traditions, and also systemic barriers that hindered the progress of aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those from black communities. However, despite facing immense challenges, black industrialists have persevered, and many of them have defied odds, and they've broken barriers to create thriving businesses and to contribute significantly to our nation's economic development, as was demonstrated by Minister Patel. Today we celebrate the power of empowerment. Empowerment that has not been handed out as charity, but that was earned through hard work. When we started this program, many who were critics said that we are now choosing those who are elitists and so on and handing out charity. And let me say, it was not the handing out of charity. It was hard work that accompanied the achievements that many of you have garnered up till today. And we applaud you and we celebrate you for that. Now, black industrialists are not just job creators and wealth generators. They are agents of change, driving social and economic transformation in our communities. At the heart of every successful industrialist lies a spirit of innovation and creativity, but also lies the spirit of determination, of hunger to succeed. Whether it is in technology, manufacturing, agriculture, or services, the black industrialists have shown that excellence knows no bounds, and that Africa is a continent that is brimming with untapped potential and ingenuity. None of this process would have been possible without the spirit of collaboration and partnership, so that none of us should ever claim that we are the fathers or the mothers of the progress that has been achieved. It has been partnership and collaboration. Government, the private sector, and stakeholders in civil society, as well as labor, have come together to create an enabling framework for black industrialists to thrive. And by working hand in hand, we've been able to dismantle the barriers that existed to foster mentorship and provide access to markets, an issue that is still raised as a major challenge, but nonetheless an issue that holds a great deal of promise as we move on. And funding has also been a major challenge to many black industrialists and black businesses, and also an essential ingredient in promoting growth and sustainability. Now, the journey of black industrialists is part of the broader journey of social and economic transformation in our country. It should never, as Minister Patel said, be seen in isolation. It is part of a broad range of transformative initiatives that have been embarked upon. And this is evident in the fact that South Africans are in the 30 years realizing that we live in a country that has changed, markedly changed from the country that we inherited 30 years ago. South Africans today are living longer than before. Life expectancy has increased from 54 years in 2003 to 65 years in 2023. And the World Health Organization says that this is almost like a revolution, to have life expectancy changing in a dramatic way, in the way that it has changed for us. Colleagues, this is progress. This is progress that we hardly are aware of, but it is underpinned by the initiatives that we have taken as a country. Maternal and infant deaths have declined dramatically. They only decline when a country is moving forward, when a country is correcting the imbalances of the past. And this is precisely what we've been doing over the last 30 years. And it is part of this transformative process that includes the Black Industrialist program. Households that resided in formal dwellings have increased sharply from 65% in 1996 to 88% in 2028. As you look at the landscape of our country, you actually see that that landscape has changed dramatically, and in many places you now find that people are no longer living in grass-thatched roofed houses. They are now living more and more in proper house structures. And this is because of the transformation that has been engendered. And therefore, when you look at the Black Industrialist program, you need to look at it in a broad context. And this is how we define Black economic empowerment, that it is the process of improving the lives of Black people. Access to electricity, much as we are having load shedding today, but access to that electricity has increased from 58% of households to 95%, meaning that many people in our country were load shed for the rest of their lives until the electricity was spread. At the end of apartheid, only 6 out of 10 people had access to clean drinking water. Today, the figure has increased, much as we are having water challenges as a water-scarce country, where the major economic nodes in our country, Gauteng as well as KZN, are now facing huge challenges because of largely, yes, water scarcity and also other challenges at municipal level, but they are being addressed. The percentage of people aged 20 years and older who completed secondary education more than doubled from 16% in 1996 to 37% in 2022. And our economy has trebled in size since 1994. And this is an important aspect that we need to look at. Much as unemployment still remains high, the number of South Africans who are now in employment have scaled to 16.7 million. And the promotion of jobs in executive management held by Black people has increased almost fivefold between 1996 and 2016. Now, all of these processes and progress points to the work we have undertaken as a society, and broadly as a society, all of us as key stakeholders, to give effect to the constitutional injunction to promote the achievement of equality. It is this injunction that led to the enactment of the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Act 20 years ago. And to give effect to the core goals of that legislation, government formally launched this program that we are about today. This program is part of the broader effort to expand South Africa's industrial base, especially in new and growth industries, with new participants, particularly those who were prevented from playing a role in the economy of their country. While affirmative action in the economy aims to redress the damage of the past, it is also sound economics. It broadens the base of entrepreneurship. It opens up the economy to more talent and capabilities. And I often say that one of the iniquities of the apartheid system is that it limited economic participation to just a few, and thus curtailing the economic power of our country to just a few hands. And yet, if we had broadened that economic participation, it would have increased productivity, it would have increased ownership, it would have increased just the raw capability and energy of our economy. But by dint of a very iniquitous system, it was limited, and it was only limited to the few privileged white people in our country. And therefore, this program aims to expand the economy, to get many more black South Africans to be part of the entire economy, so broadening it. So this conference, therefore, showcases the results of this investment. For government, key role players have been making an investment, and this is the full showcasing thereof. It shows the impact of Black Industrialist program, not only in the wares and display, but also in the data that has already been put forward here and that we will also talk about. Now, the impact of this investment is clear from more than 100 billion in turnover, as Minister was saying, generated by these businesses each year, and by more than 100,000 direct jobs sustained in their factories, in the mines and farms, and in a very numerous businesses that they run. So this conference tells the stories of the industrialists of freedom, who built their businesses through hard work, through sweat, through ingenuity, propelled along by the tailwinds of democracy and opportunity. Over the course of the last 5 years, we have worked to deepen these efforts. At the start of this administration in 2019, we began to develop master plans in different sectors of the economy, ranging from clothing to sugar, from autos to the steel and to poultry. Now, these master plans, and even as we started them, there was a lot of criticism and a lot of pessimism. Now, these plans have specific and dedicated sections dealing with the promotion of black industrialists. In the auto sector, for instance, a sector that was divided into two. The one sector or section was workers, and they were all black. All they did was to work. And the other sector was the management and the owners, and they were all white. Now, we have now targeted this sector and have set the clear ambitions for the promotion of black industrialists as component manufacturers. In the clothing industry, for instance, government set up a fund to support small, medium enterprises. In the sugar industry, as we heard from Minister, an industrial fund of 1 billion rand over 5 years has been put in place to do what? To support small-scale black farmers so that they can receive about 200 million in support annually. And this is not Mickey Mouse, this is real funding and incentives that are being put forward to assist our black grower farmers, who are strewn throughout Mpumalanga as well as KZN. We also ramped up the Black Industrialist Program's funding. And in the past 5 years, some 24 billion rand has been committed for black industrialists. Through institutions, as we heard, like the IDC and the NEF, we have provided funding to several black-owned companies in emerging tech industries, pharmaceuticals, renewable energy, and to chemical production. I do believe, and I'll be going there later today, that there is a clear exhibition. And the exhibition is not just to showcase, it's actually a marketplace. Now, alongside the provision of funding and other forms of support to black and women-owned companies, we've taken steps to improve the operating environment for these businesses. We introduced new legislation that increased the powers of the competition authorities to act against abuse of dominance or commercial practices by large firms that keep small businesses and black-owned businesses out of markets. And many of us will know how this operates. And you will know, and I'll talk about it in a minute. Among other things, this has resulted in the reduction of data costs and an agreement to end long exclusive leases that big supermarkets had in place with shopping malls. It also ended the practice where insurance companies kept small township bays or black-owned panel beaters off their insurance-approved lists. And this was deliberate. And through legislative instruments, through various policy instruments, we've unlocked this. It also prohibited practices that kept small township delivery services from being able to contract with franchises of large fast food firms. Now, through measures taken during mergers and other investigations by the Competition Commission, several large companies have made around 2.4 billion in funding available for supplier development. And these have been conditional requirements that we've put in place to various companies, and there are quite a number: Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Heineken, ShopRite, Astron, Massmart. And as they come for mergers and acquisitions, those have been conditions that have been put forward. And a number of other offshore companies as well have made available funding for young app developers like Google, for instance. And this has been the efforts that government has made and has put forward, and DTIC has been playing a key role. In the Equity Equivalent Investment Program, over the past 5 years, large car makers and companies such as Amazon, JP Morgan and Citibank have committed support for black industrialists to the value of several billion, and we can count 7.2 billion and so. In January this year, we began the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which brings together a vast market on the continent. Now, this free trade area is an opportunity for black industrialists, homegrown in South Africa, to enter markets, and market access having been identified as one of the key problems, so that they can partner with firms in Ghana, Kenya, Algeria, and a number of other countries to penetrate those markets. Now, the Black Exporters Network that we launched at the previous conference also enables black industrialists to share experiences and to provide support to each other as they move into other markets. Now, in addition to the huge opportunities that are beckoning from the African to the rest of the African continent, there are businesses here today that are successfully exporting to countries such as the United States, to the European Union, to the United Kingdom, to China, India, and the Middle East. Now, these businesses are being supported by government's robust efforts to expand access for South African products into significant export markets. With all these examples, what all these examples show is the scope and extent of the support that is now being given, and how we are energizing the Black Industrialists Export Program. And of course, this is not enough. We need to do more. But what we have succeeded to do is to build a model to build a model that can be replicated, that can be grown on an ongoing basis as we spread and as we become much wider. And in spite of the electricity and freight logistics challenges that we are facing at the moment, we are making progress through an intense focus on implementing the Energy Action Plan. There has been a steady decline in the severity of load shedding over the past half year. And this was also confirmed by the business community who we have set up a working group with. Through regulatory changes and other measures, we are seeing massive new investment in energy generation, and particularly in the installation of rooftop solar. And we are seeing a real change in our energy architecture, an energy architecture which is now bringing in a lot of investment, but an energy architecture which is also going to bolster and enable ESCOM, a state-owned enterprise, to function much more efficiently. Now, government and Transnet in industry and other social partners, we are working very closely to relieve the congestion at our ports and increase the volume of freight being carried on our key rail corridors. Now, 1.3 billion energy resilience fund put in place to support small, medium enterprises and other firms affected by the energy challenges is fully subscribed. When the Black Industrialist program was initiated in 2016, it set out a target of 100 Black Industrialists, as we said earlier. And we've now taken it to a much higher level. And many more Black Industrialists are supported through the range of government activities, as we have said. Now, in addition to what we have done through partnerships and working with the trade industry and competition portfolio, there are several other measures that we have undertaken to promote economic inclusion. Now, through state procurement, many additional billions of rands of support has been provided to Black-owned businesses to supply the state. The Department, for instance, of Agriculture and Land Reform and Rural Development, together with entities such as the Land Bank, provide further support to Black farmers. Much as this may not be seen as part of the Black Industrialist program, it should be seen against the backdrop of what we are doing to support Black businesses. Then there is the support given through Department of Tourism to emerging tourism businesses and the infrastructure spend by state-owned entities who use Black suppliers to manufacture key inputs and provide key services. The Department of Small Business Development has supported a large number of micro and small businesses, adding to the numbers we can celebrate. Of course, we need more funding. We need more firepower to enable that department to broaden its scope and the level of support. And that will come in tow as our economic fortunes as a country change. But we also need to know that we need to make the investment to change the economic fortunes of our country. So we need to be leading the charge with the incentivization programs, also through the small, medium enterprises. The Black Industrialist program itself has also gone a long way in promoting meaningful participation in the economy by women, young people, and persons with disabilities. Now, looking forward, we do need to set ambitions or great ambitious targets for the next 5 years. First, we need to scale up the number of Black industrialists that are supported directly by government through various forms of support, including finance, the regulatory measures that need to be embarked upon, the partnership arrangements, and through the master plans that we've put together. Now, these businesses will be drawn from manufacturing, the green technologies, the digital economy, mining, agriculture, construction, as well as tourism. Secondly, we need to scale up the level of financial support that we need to make available through the public sector and partner funding. As we saw here on the screen, a number of businesses are crying out about insufficient financial help, insufficient support, and that is precisely what we need to do. But government cannot do it alone. We need to do it with other partners as well. A particular focus will also be on the support for small businesses and those that are owned by women and the young people. Third, we need to open up the economy and make it more inclusive. This means that we need to address features of the market structure that inhibit the participation of black industrialists in the economy. And to facilitate this, we will be setting a target that the Competition Commission should undertake a set number of market inquiries in strategic sectors of the economy in the coming years, aimed at addressing high levels of economic concentration and low participation by small, medium enterprises, but particularly by black-owned businesses. Now, the IMF, as well as the World Bank, did say some years ago, that one of the problems with the South African economy is the high level of concentration. Concentration of ownership, of control, and market dominance. And this one sees when one goes around the world. If you look at our own economy, you will find that you go around the various cities of our country, you'll find the same firms dominating businesses all around the country. And they are few, they are white-owned, and they have enormous market dominance. And this is what the World Bank and the IMF years ago said is the problem with our economy. And this is precisely what we now need to change. When we amended the Competition Act, we focused on saying, how can we address the issue of broadening participation? And of course, the incumbents don't like it. They don't like it because by dominating the market, they have profiteered, they have grown to be massive companies. And by being so big, they prevent others from participating. Now, if you look at this historically, you'll find that they were enabled to grow and to be big by the previous apartheid system that excluded black people from participating. And as they grew, we thought this is a great thing. We've got big companies that are growing. But as they were applauded, they were excluding others from participating. Now we have an instrument, and we must use this instrument and enable the participation of black people to be broadened in the economy. And that we are going to do, and that is why we are saying we want to give the Competition Commission a target to start looking more introspectively at the dominance of various players. And when we do so, there's a lot of opposition. But we say, you've got to open up the market to allow others to come in. Now, who do we want to allow to come in? It's many of you who are seated here. You need space, you need opportunity, and you need to be key players in the economy of your own country. And we are going to do that. And fourth, we need to export more of our processed products, including through the African Continental Free Trade Area. And we've often said that the time has now come, and the young people of our country are also saying it. And the ANC Youth League is a formation that has really been leading its charge on this, that we must beneficiate our minerals. We must stop exporting rocks, dust, and soil. We must now export finished products. And this we want to do. And we remain as a country the largest repository of many critical and strategic minerals. And the given wisdom is that no, just continue exporting the raw materials. And we now need to say, no, we want opportunities to be open for black industrialists to beneficiate those, so that, yes, we no longer send out rocks and soil and sand to other countries that will bring back the finished products. We now want to make the finished products that they need, made in South Africa, by South African workers, in South African factories. Now, of course, all this can be done because you need a lot of capital for that. This can be done through partnerships with existing players, financing that we can garner, and assistance of credit in a number of ways. Now, to facilitate this, we will set a target of the number of black industrialists who need to be supported and assisted through the Black Exporters Network to get into export markets over the next 5 years. Now, these targets will guide the work of the economic regulators, the development finance institutions, and government departments. And let it be understood, the process of empowering our black industrialists does not only reside in the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. It is a government-wide program. All government departments are a part of this, and as we break down the silos in government through utilizing methods or models like the district development model and enhancing greater cooperation in government, we will be able to get more and more cooperation in government right across the board to support these types of programs. We will also work to unlock funds within the private sector through supplier development funds, local procurement commitments, and public interest conditions that are made when licenses are issued or regulatory approvals are obtained. Now, I also take issue with the complaint that was so prominent on the screen about assistance, particularly from a funding point of view, not being sufficient. And we call on the financial institutions of our country to extend funding to black emerging industrialists and companies. One of the recurring problems and challenge that emerging black businesses, well, I should stop calling them emerging, one of the recurring challenges and complaints is that they don't get funding, and that funding is not easily available to black businesses. And I've heard this so many times, and the reality of this was sharpened to me. During COVID, you might recall, we set aside 200 billion rand, which we said we will put aside as government as a guarantee, and called upon the financial institutions to support businesses that were going through challenges and difficulties. They only allocated 20 billion of that money. And I've often asked what happened to the 180 billion. And we found that they were setting onerous conditions, almost impossible conditions, that black businesses could attain. And we are now saying Those onerous conditions must be reformed. Many of them must be dropped. We must make funding available to black businesses so that they can help and contribute to growing the economy. Because now, no economy can grow without funding. And what we've often find is that our economy has been highly financialized. Financial institutions have a lot of money. They hog the money and they don't deploy that money to productive initiatives or productive assets. And we are saying, deploy that money. Now, what was worse for me or for government was that we said we are guaranteeing this 200 billion. In essence, we were saying we want to support these businesses, and over a 7 to 9 year period, we will stand behind those businesses and it will be a guarantee. But the financial institution still did not come forward with meaningful initiatives to support them. Now, we need to relook at how we can incentivize and even compel the financial institutions to support businesses. We now have to go there because, truth be told, there will be no meaningful growth in our economy without business people or businesses being financed. There will be no growth. So if we want to grow, we must take the risk. We must take the risk and finance businesses so that we can grow our economy. Now, the whole economy in the end benefits from the growth and will benefit from the growth of black-owned businesses. Now, through partnerships with established businesses, we can leverage more procurement, technical support, and financial backing for black industrial suppliers. Now, joint ventures can help to expand the footprint of small and large businesses in global markets. And I want to thank the CEOs of various established enterprises that have committed to procure services from black industrialists. During this conference, a number of firms, I'm told, will be making further pledges that cover the next 5 years in an event that we hope to repeat again at the next conference, pledging billions of rands of procurement. Now, this will go a really long way in fostering economic inclusion and transforming our economy. So this conference is not only an opportunity to showcase or to celebrate and acknowledge the strides that black businesses continue to make within the South African economic landscape. It is also an opportunity for the businesses, of course, to network, to explore opportunities, to move from contact to contract, and I hope you'll be able to do so. And as I close, I invite us to all join in tonight at the awards evening and the gala dinner where we will celebrate black industrial excellence. And I like this because it's important that we should celebrate success. We should not all be endowed with the, pull me down syndrome. We should be endowed with applauding success because that success enables even young people to see that it can be done, even in a post-apartheid South Africa. Through all these efforts, through the many successful businesses that we are here to celebrate, we are together transforming our economy. And in the end, I do firmly believe that we are changing lives and we continue to change the landscape of our country and beginning to move forward towards the dream of the South Africa that we have always wanted. And this we should do collectively. And there's a temptation at times to say that government must do it. And I do firmly believe that all of us have a role to play. And your presence here just confirms that indeed we all have a role to play, and well done for all of you for participating in this conference.